Hi everybody, today we're going to be taking a look in Ahri, the nine-tailed fox. Innately connected to the magic of the spirit realm, Ahri is a fox-like Vistaya who can manipulate her prey's emotions and consume their essence, receiving flashes of their memory and insights from each soul she consumes. Once a powerful yet wayward predator, Ahri is now traveling the world in search of remnants of her ancestors, while also trying to replace her stolen memories with ones of her own making. For most of her life, Ahri's origins were a mystery to her. The history of her Vistayan tribe all but lost, save for the twin gemstones she has carried her entire life. Ahri's earliest memories are of running with ice foxes in the northern reaches of Shanjan. Though she knew she was not one of them, they clearly saw her as something of a kindred spirit and came to accept her within their pack. In that wild predator existence, Ahri nonetheless felt a deeper connection to the forest around her. In time, she came to understand that this was the magic of the Vistaya that coursed through every fiber of her being, and the realm of spirits that lay beyond. With no one to teach her, instead she learned to call upon this power in her own ways, most often using it to quicken her reflexes in pursuit of prey. If she was careful and close enough, she also found she might soothe a panicked deer so that it remained serene and calm, even as she and her packmates sank their teeth into its flesh. The world of mortals was as distinct and unsettling to Ahri as it was to the ice foxes, but she felt drawn to it for reasons she could not explain. Humans in particular were coarse, gruff creatures, and when a band of huntsmen camped nearby, Ahri watched them from afar as they went about their grim business. When one of them was wounded by a stray arrow, Ahri could feel his life seeping away. Knowing nothing but the instincts of a predator, she savored the spirit essence leaving his body, and though it gained brief flashes of his memories, the lover he had lost in battle, and the children he had left behind when he came north, Ahri subtly pushed his emotions from fear to sorrow to joy to comfort him with visions of sun-soaked meadows as he died. Afterward, she found that human words now came to her easily, like something from a half-remembered dream, and Ahri knew the time had come to leave the pack behind. Keeping to the fringes of society, she felt more alive than ever. Her predatory nature remained, but she was caught up in a riot of new experiences, emotions, and customs across Ionia. Mortals, it seemed, also became fascinated by her in return, and she often used this to her advantage, draining their essence while charming them with recollections of beauty, hallucinations of deep longing, and occasionally dreams colored by raw sorrow. She grew drunk on memories that were not her own, and exhilarated in ending the lives of others, even as she felt the grief and woe she brought her victims. She experienced heartbreak and elation in tantalizing flashes that left her craving more. It was overwhelming, but she sensed her own power fading whenever she tried to stay away, and could not help but partake again and again. In time, she began to see herself as mortals did, a monster, until one day, an artist stumbled upon her, hunched over a man as she drained his life essence from him. Where others would run, he stayed, offering his own life essence in exchange for her heart. For the first time in her life, Ahri let herself fall in love and be loved, wholly and completely. Their days passed in warmth and laughter. Ahri Ahri curbed her hunger by feeding on her lover. She was truly happy until she lost control, draining her lover completely. Ahri fell into despair, her grief consuming her as she mourned the loss of the first and only person she ever truly loved. The first and only person who ever truly loved her. Retreating even further from society, she became consumed with learning more about where she came from, in hopes that it would help her control her abilities. With her twin sunstones in hand, she set out in search of others like her, a journey that would take her out of Ionia into Bilgewater. It was on the shores of the Shadow Isles where she finally discovered her ancestors, the Visani, a Visayan tribe that brought innovation and magic to the Blessed Isles before being wiped out by the Ruination. Inspired by their memories, Ahri has set off to travel the world in search for other remnants of the Visani. She hopes to carry their legacy forward, bringing good into the world like they did. No longer burdened by the heavy weight of her regrets, she also hopes to finally leave her stolen memories behind and create new memories of her own making. A Fair Trade by Rayla Heide. The market smelled of burning incense and rotting cabbage. Ahri wrapped her cloak around her 9 tails and fiddled with her twin sunstone tokens to distract herself from the stench. Rolling them between her fingers and snapping them together, each one had the shape of a blazing flame, but they were carved in such a way that their sharper edges fit together, forming a perfectly smooth orb. She had carried the golden stones since before she could remember, though she had no knowledge of their origin. Though Ahri was in a new environment, she was comforted by the latent magic burning all around her. She passed a stand with dozens of woven baskets filled to the brim with polished rocks, shells etched with legends from a seafaring tribe, gambling dice carved from bones and other curious items. Nothing matched the style of Ahri's sculpted tokens. "You have a gem to match the blue of the skies?" asked the grey-bearded merchant. "Will you outtrade a cerulean bauble for the crust of a single cry-raven feather? Or perhaps the seed of a jupy tree? I'm flexible." Ahri smiled at him, but shook her head and continued through the market. Sunstones in hand, she passed a stand covered in spiky orange vegetables, a child selling fruit that shifted color in the weather, and at least 3 peddlers swindling tins of incense, each of whom claimed to have discovered the deepest form of meditation. "Fortunes! Come get your fortunes told," called a young woman with lavender eyes and a soft jawline. "Find out who you'll fall in love with, or how to avoid unlucky situations with a pinch of budrock root. Or, if you'd prefer your future left to the gods, I'll answer a question about your past. Though I do recommend finding out whether or not you're at risk of death by poisoning." A tall Vistaya with feline eyes was about to take a bite of a spiced pastry. He froze and stared at the fortune teller in alarm. "The answer is no, by the way. Yours is free," she said, curtsying at him before turning to Ahri. "Now, you look like you've had a dark and mysterious past. Or at least some tales worth sharing. Any burning questions for me, lady?" Beneath heavy layers of incense, Ahri paused at the scent of wet fur and spiced leather lingering on the woman's neck. "Thank you, but no," she replied. "I'm still looking around." "You won't find any more Yamelo tokens in this market, I'm afraid," the woman said, nodding to Ahri's sunstones. "Like the ones you have." The back of Ahri's neck prickled as she drew close to the woman. She would not let her excitement get the better of her. "Do you recognize these? Where do they come from?" The woman eyed Ahri. "I think they're Yamelos anyway," she said. "Never seen a pair in person. He only carved a small number in his time, and many of the sets were separated in the war." Dead rare, those. Ahri leaned closer with each word. I'm hearing, by the way, the woman sighed. Do you know where I might find this craftsman? Ahri asked. Huron laughed. No idea. But if you come in, I'll tell you what I know. Ahri wrapped her cloak around her shoulders and eagerly followed the fortune teller past her booth and into a caravan decorated wall to wall with animal skins. Tea? Huron said. I brewed it this morning. She poured 2 cups of liquid the color of plum wine, taking one for herself. The tea tasted of bitter oak bark, masked by a cloying double of honey. Huron held out a hand for the stones, but Ahri kept them close. I'm getting the sense that these are special to you, she said with a wry smile. Don't worry, I have no interest in peddling stolen sunstones. Bad for a girl's reputation. Can you tell me where they come from? Asked Ahri, handing them over gingerly. Huron held them up to the light. These are beautiful, she said. I don't know how they fit together so perfectly. I've not seen the like. Ahri said nothing. She stood frozen with curiosity and did not take her eyes off the woman. Legend says the sculptor known as Yamelo collected fossilized lizard eggs from 1,000 years ago that he carved into intricate shapes. These ancient lizards lived long before the Gatu Sea dried up to a desert, leaving only petrified bones and dust. Huron coughed, and Ahri detected a bitter note upon her breath, as if she had been drinking vinegar. Yamelo stones are designed as a small piece that fits into a larger sculpture, she continued. The woman dangled the golden piece in front of Ahri's face. Just as your past has left you with information to be desired, these stones may have many more parts that, when combined, create another shape altogether. Who knows what you'll become when you track down your history? With the missing pieces, you may learn more than you'd like. Those are pretty words, Ahri murmured, staring at the woman. After a moment of silence, Huron chuckled. Some threads of truth, some threads of my own invention. A fortune teller's weaving must be seamless. The woman retrieved a hunter's knife from the cabinet. I weave in just enough of what you desire to make you stay, she said. Till the tea slows your muscles, that is. A low growl escaped Ahri's lips. She would tear this woman apart. She tries to pounce, but her limbs did not obey. She was rooted in place. Now there's no need for that, lady. I only need a single tail, useful for a variety of potions, you see, and extremely valuable. Or so I think. Never seen a Vestaya with foxtails before. The tea freezes any pain along with your mobility. Huron wrapped a bandage around one of Ahri's tails. Ahri tries to resist, but she still could not move. You'll wake up tomorrow, good as new, said the woman. Well, with one last tale, do you really use all 9? Ahri shut her eyes and reached out to the reservoirs of magic around her. The environment had plenty, ripe for the taking, but she was too weakened by the tea to draw them to her. Instead, she reached into Huron's mind, which was far more malleable, and pushed. Ahri opened her eyes and stared hard into Huron's. They deepened from lavender to violet. Huron, she said, come closer. I would look into the face of the one who tricked me. Of course, lady, Huron replied, transfixed. The woman's voice sounded hollow, as though it came from the bottom of a well. She leaned in until her face was only inches away. Ahri inhaled, drawing essences of the woman's life from her breath. Huron was a young girl, hiding, hungry, and afraid beneath a market stall. 2 men argued above, looking for her. She had nothing but empty coffers to show for her day's work. Ahri continued to drain Huron's life, sampling memories of raw emotion. They felt rich in Ahri's mouth, and she relished each unique flavor of emotion. Huron told the fortune of a witch doctor shrouded in veils, receiving a copper for her troubles. She used the coin to buy a piece of bread, which she devoured in seconds. In a city tavern, a raucous group played cards. A man with eyebrows resembling butterfly wings gambled a golden Yamelo stone, while Heron watched from the shadows. Heron tracked Ahri as she walked through the market. One of her foxtails peeked from beneath her cloak. She drew the Vestaya into her caravan. Enough! Ahri stopped, her head spinning with renewed vigor. With each memory she stole from Heron, she felt the energy rush back into her weakened muscles, cleansing them from the poison. Strengthened once more, she slowly shook her limbs awake and flexed her tail with a shiver. It tingled with pinpricks. Heron stood wide-eyed and dazed, still very much alive. It was she that would wake tomorrow good as new, less a few memories that she would not miss. With knowledge of the woman's life, Ahri's rage had faded. She brushed her hand against the fortune-teller's cheek, then wrapped her cloak tightly around her shoulders and stepped out into the sunlit market. Heron would not remember her or their encounter, but Ahri had left the trade with a name to hunt, Yamelo, and the image of the man with the soft winged eyebrows burned into her mind. If you enjoyed the stories read tonight, please check the description for links to them. And if you enjoyed listening, please subscribe. I'll see you next time.